With the new threat that Russia is just one step away from a full-blown war with Ukraine that will draw the United States and U.S. European allies into a war that could boil over into World War III, along with yesterday's report by the White House that inflation is expected to skyrocket in just the coming months. Researchers are warning now that a spike in gold that was seen in the last 24 hours signifies a shift toward physical assets in another move away from American superpower control that will lead to, according to researchers, an implosion of American dominance across the economic spectrum. Ukraine crisis, just one step away from war. Russian state media is reported to have increased a social call for war as the previous U.S. ambassador to Moscow warns the world that the Russian leader and the Russian military could spark a large-scale conflict in Europe, in effect testing the current administration of Joe Biden and the U.S.'s willingness to go to war with Russia. They are just one step away, warns the report on state media. There is a massive Russian military buildup now thought to stand at 80,000 troops alongside tanks, artillery, heavy weaponry, heavy machinery, and the United States is reacting just as we have warned you here on this channel, with massive troop movements of our own being reported across the USA, and reports that the U.S. is sending troops into Germany just 1,000 short miles away from Kyiv. This is the event that will lead to a larger conflict. This isn't like Syria. The United States and Russia will not just trade blows over a proxy war. This is the type of event that will lead to a larger war. You and your family need to get ready for that possibility. Russia is now thought to have amassed tens of thousands of troops, nearing 100,000 at the time of this recording. The Ukrainian presidential spokesperson said today that 40,000 troops are now stationed in Crimea, with another 40,000 near Donbass, where Russian-backed separatists, according to separatists, of course this is state media, have been fighting the government forces for years. Gold prices are on the rise after higher than expected readings of U.S. inflation. Well, higher than expected according to some of these economists, but not according to our community here. We have been warning about inflation for weeks and months. You make a debt, you have to pay that debt. The U.S. is so far in debt, we're going to get to that in today's video. The United States is so far in debt that your children's children are going to be paying this back. Get ready at every opportunity that you have. Gold futures started a long-expected move to higher ground after data showed U.S. consumer prices in March rose for the fourth month in a row. And I know you're feeling this because I'm feeling it too. You go to buy something at the store, you think in your head, I know this was less money last month. If you have the opportunity to, you go to a receipt, maybe you bought it online, and you see, yes, this was 5% less, 10% less, in some cases 20% less just 60 days ago. Gas is increasing. We're going to get to that in today's video. This is something that is going to cause a further divide between the haves and the have-nots in the United States of America. The gold went up to its highest level in 2.5 years. The pace of inflation hit the highest level in 2.5 years. The consumer price index jumped in March, the government said Tuesday, with economists warning that inflation and how it's going to cost your family is far, far from over. The reading came in over expectations. That's according to Jason Teed. He's a co-portfolio manager at Gold Bullion Strategy Fund, QGLDX. Inflation will probably pick up further, and the numbers that we see in the next few months may appear abnormally large, skewing the data, they say. The Fed expects inflation to then settle down. Remember, we talked yesterday about the White House report. This is on the whitehouse.gov website. They said that inflation is here 2024, 2025, and if their readings are wrong, because they say there's no way to look at this through history, if their readings are wrong, we're going to see the prices that you're starting to see the increases on right now to last your lifetime. How does this happen? Well, you've heard your grandma, your mom and dad, your cousins, your friends and family all say, when I was a kid, this, bread was this much, milk was this much, gas was this much. Inflation doesn't go away. It's just a matter of how quick we inflate the price and how steady that stays. Expect it to stay around for years. So if you are in a financial position where you can get your family even just a little bit more ready. By being more ready, I mean your pantry is fully stocked for a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? Anything that you can do to double where you're at right now will put you in a better position. What about learning how to hunt, or those important skills like knowing where your water is local to you? What if you had to actually go and get water every day and bring it to your house? Could you do that? How would you do that? Do you have a family of 5? Well, that's 5 gallons of water just for drinking. What about toilet use? What about washing hands? What about washing dishes? Now you've got 6, 7 gallons a day, 8 gallons a day. What about on shower day that week? Because if the crisis is that bad, no one's sitting in the shower in the nice hot water or cold water, depending on your environment, for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You're getting in there, hopefully you're getting a couple of cups out of the bucket. But the skills are, how are you going to get that water and bring it back to you? You might say, I'll just load it up in my car. What if gas prices? We're talking about gas prices today. What if they're up so high that you can't afford to do that? You have to get ready for what is coming. The Fed expects inflation to settle down after this acceleration, 2024, 2025. However, the key risk is if their assumption turns out to be wrong. This is according to leading economists, and price pressure remains elevated. In fact, with consumers' inflation expectations rising, this could translate into a rise in prices that are here to stay. And here it is. Consumer prices rose more than expected, pushed by a 9.1% jump in gasoline. The problem is you have a trickle effect, right? You have a byproduct here. Gas goes up, now it costs more for the guy driving the truck to get it to the store. Now it costs more to get it from the garden, the farm where your food was created at, all the way to the store, the marketplace. That price doesn't get soaked by these mega corporations. Walmart's not soaking that price. Walmart sees a 1 cent increase, they charge you 5 cents more. This is a money game. This is a control game. This is a wealth and power game. That money is always going to be passed on to you, the consumer. And there we have another divergence, another fork in the road. The haves, the have-nots. Who can afford to have that? Can you and your family afford to eat an organic, healthy food meal every single day? Not very many people in the United States can. A lot of people in the United States are forced eating processed foods. Why? Because a box of mac and cheese or some stovetop stuffing, not that there's anything wrong with those inherently, because every once in a while it's a great treat, are a lot less healthy and a lot more processed than something like making your own cheese, mac and cheese out of the noodles that you make or the cheese that you get from the store. There's a lot of difference here. The haves, they keep on having. The have-nots are getting less every single day. But gas prices up 9.1%. Consumer prices started what is expected to be a long-term rise in price, as the Labor Department reported this just today. The report is the clearest indication so far that the signs of mounting inflation evident in business surveys and producer prices are feeding through to stronger consumer prices. You notice how they use verbiage and terminology like a stronger consumer price. They forget that 100,000 people just made it, made it so that they can't even afford to get those same groceries that they were buying last month. No, it's just a stronger price. And strong, after all, means good, right? That means great. You're strong and nice. Yeah, it's great for somebody. It's great for Walmart, Amazon, Target, massive farms, massive grocers. Who's it not great for? The majority of Americans. The foundation class of Americans who are working, struggling. It's on their backs that America continues to operate. It's not strong. It's not great for them. It's a disaster. The report is the clearest indication that we're seeing stronger consumer prices. That's Michael Pierce, senior U.S. economist at Capital Economics. For all the focus on supply disruptions pushing goods prices higher, the strongest, again with that word, upward pressure on prices is coming from the services sector. Gasoline prices were the biggest contributor for the monthly gain, surging 9.1% in March, responsible for about half of the overall CPI increase. Gasoline is up 22.5% from 1 year ago, part of the 13.2% increase in energy prices. Everything's going up. If you see something at the store today, even if you just buy it today, you're hedging inflation next month. Make those plans. Food is getting higher. All 6 of the government measures for grocery store indexes rose. Every single measure. The government watches the prices. Every single price went up. Nothing is safe here. There's no easy ground. All you can do is become as independent as you can. If you can grow some food, grow it. You can get some solar, do it. You can filter your own water, do it. You have to be as independent as you can to get through this as unscathed as possible. If you have friends and family who are still stuck in that consumerism 2017 lifestyle where they just spend 110% of all of the money that they bring in, help get them out of it. Show them that you can enjoy life without just bleeding your money, without bleeding your hard-earned life's energy away back into consumerism. Show them that that can happen. Get them outside. Let's go camping. Let's go out for a day. Let's go fishing. Let's do some things that are enjoyable with life, but also increase our independence against this manufactured life of enjoyment that they feed you. You're supposed to care about Prince Philip. You're supposed to care about DMX. Not saying that a loss is ever good, but you're supposed to care about that. These guys who made more money than you have ever hoped, more power than you have ever known. You're supposed to care about that. You're also supposed to care about going on vacation. What's going on with Disney? Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that that's part of the trap, isn't it? You spend 110% of everything you make. Why? Because that keeps you locked in to going back to work on Monday, doesn't it? You can do your yard work on Saturday. You can get your car washed on Sunday. If you're lucky, you get some beer and football in there. Back on Monday, you've got to keep making that money, because how else are you going to spend 110% of it back into this broken and corrupt marketplace? Fed officials have said that they will not adjust monetary policy based on short-term jumps of inflation, and they're not going to adjust it at all until it starts to hurt them. Until it starts to hurt the government, massive corporations, you're not going to see any adjustment here. And when they do, those prices aren't going to reflect back to you. Those are just brakes. Those are emergency handbrakes. Those emergency handbrakes mean that they're going to halt how bad things have gotten for you and your family. They're going to stop things right there. You want to get a gallon of gas? Well, it's $6. Let's pull the handbrake. Let's stop it right there. That doesn't mean that your gas is going to go back down to $1.97. No, absolutely not. That means that your gas is going to halt right there at $6. Why? Because that money always gets passed back to the mega corporations, the conglomerates. Just get ready for it. That's all I'm asking you here. And if you have ideas for people in the community, please leave them in the comment box below. Help others get through this. Help them break out of that the false idea that you have to fall into line with what they want you to do to be happy in your life. Let's break out of that mold together. Here's why this is happening. U.S. budget deficit widened to a record $1.7 trillion for 6 months. The gap increased $660 billion in March alone. These are unimaginable numbers. Humans, we don't even know what that kind of money looks like. This is Scrooge McDuck kind of money. You don't even know what's going on here. All you know is that a debt, when it's made, has to be paid. And who's going to pay that? It's your children, your children's children, because the people in power right now care nothing about your future. All they care about is getting more wealth and more power today. The deficit was $660 billion. Higher last month, according to the Treasury Department, 554% wider than it was at the same month a year ago. Can you, let's figure those numbers out. 554% higher than it was just a year ago. And listen to this. Here's where we start seeing some connections here. Here's where we start seeing the difference in what is happening. The government spending surge has the federal debt soaring to levels not seen since the end of World War II as a proportion of the economy. That's right, the cycle. Pandemic, economic collapse, economic crisis, war. Not since the end of World War II has the deficit been this bad. Get your family ready. While much of the borrowing of the past year was unquestionably warranted, they say, we are now becoming dangerously numb to the trillions in debt that are piling up. This is Maya McGinnis, president of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. We need a plan to bring down the debt. The only way this is going to happen is on your shoulder. It's on the backs of the foundation class, the men and women who are suffering across the United States of America. The increase in deficit since before the pandemic is hard to wrap one's head around, says Wendy Edelberg, a former Congressional Budget Office chief economist. We have to understand these numbers, she says, in the context of the crisis we're living through. The pandemic has led to a job loss of more than 10 million jobs. The robust fiscal response has made, and of course they're saying this is necessary, and you even have some people saying, spend it through the roof, keep it going, spend more. And yes, you have a crisis here. People have to get through this crisis. Do you know how much they gave to the people through stimulus in relation to war money? A small percentage. They care more about the future of power and wealth than the future of your family, health, and prosperity. Do what you can to get ready today. From my family to yours, please stay safe, remain vigilant, and keep watch.